In the world of national security, few voices resonate as powerfully as Tulsi Gabbard's. Her presence on the national stage is unmistakable, commanding attention from both allies and critics alike. Gabbard's reputation for candor and conviction has made her a standout figure in a field often defined by secrecy and caution. As Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard is responsible for overseeing America's vast and complex intelligence network, which includes agencies like the CIA and NSA. She coordinates the efforts of thousands of analysts, operatives, and experts, ensuring that the nation's leaders have the information they need to make critical decisions. Her leadership style is both hands-on and strategic, reflecting her deep understanding of the stakes involved. Her primary responsibility is to deliver clear, unbiased intelligence to the president, no matter the political climate or external pressures. This means distilling vast amount of data into actionable insights, often under intense time constraints. Gabbard's commitment to objectivity has earned her respect, but also placed her at the center of political storms. Gabbard's unique background as a Hawaii congresswoman and Iraq war veteran shapes her independent, often blunt approach to intelligence work. Her military service instilled a sense of duty and discipline, while her time in Congress taught her the importance of transparency and accountability. These experiences have forged a leader who is unafraid to speak her mind, even when it means challenging the status quo. Unlike many of her predecessors, Gabbard is unafraid to challenge both political parties, making her a closely watched and sometimes controversial figure in Washington. Her willingness to confront uncomfortable truths has set her apart, drawing both admiration and criticism from across the political spectrum. Traditionally, the Director of National Intelligence works quietly behind the scenes, rarely stepping into the public eye. But Gabbard's recent public statements have broken with that tradition, signaling a new era of transparency and direct communication from the intelligence community's highest office. When she speaks publicly, her words carry the weight of someone with access to the nation's deepest secrets. Every statement is carefully measured, knowing that even a single phrase can have far-reaching consequences for national security and public trust. Her latest address at a major political conference sent shockwaves through Washington, as she openly discussed threats and vulnerabilities that are usually kept behind closed doors. The speech was both a warning and a call to action, urging leaders to put aside partisan differences for the sake of national security. The decision to issue a public warning has sparked intense debate about her motives and the nature of the threats she described. Some see her as a bold truth-teller, while others question whether such openness could compromise sensitive operations. Regardless, Tulsi Gabbard's voice continues to shape the national conversation on security, transparency, and leadership. Director Gabbard's address took place at AmericaFest 2025, a raucous conservative gathering hosted by Turning Point USA in Phoenix. The event just before Christmas was charged with emotion after the recent loss of TPUSA founder Charlie Kirk. Gabbard's choice to speak here was deliberate. She bypassed traditional channels to reach a politically energized audience. Her message was amplified by conservative media, ensuring maximum impact. For the nation's top intelligence official to appear at such a partisan event was unprecedented. The intelligence community prides itself on neutrality, but Gabbard blurred those lines. Her presence signaled a willingness to engage directly with the public, not just policymakers. The speech became more than a message, it was a political event in itself. Gabbard's move guaranteed her warning would not go unnoticed. In her speech, Gabbard drew a clear and deliberate distinction between Islam as a faith practiced by millions around the world and what she termed Islamist ideology. She emphasized that Islam as a religion encompasses a wide range of beliefs, cultures, and traditions, and that the vast majority of Muslims are peaceful, law-abiding citizens who value coexistence and respect for others. In contrast, Gabbard described Islamist ideology as a political movement, not a religious one, that seeks to use the language and symbols of religion to justify a radical agenda. She argued that this ideology poses a unique and serious threat to societies that cherish freedom and pluralism. According to Gabbard, Islamist ideology is fundamentally totalitarian in nature. It aims to impose a rigid interpretation of religious law, often referred to as Sharia, over every aspect of public and private life, from government and education to personal behavior and family matters. This, she contended, stands in direct opposition to the foundational principles of Western democracies, such as individual liberty, gender equality, and the right to dissent. Gabbard warned that the values underpinning open societies are incompatible with the authoritarian aims of Islamist ideology. She further explained that Islamist ideology rejects core freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the separation of church and state. These are not just abstract principles, but the very foundation of a free society, and Gabbard argued that they are under threat wherever Islamist ideology gains influence. The threat, she said, is not limited to violent extremism. While groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda represent the most visible and brutal manifestations of Islamist ideology, Gabbard cautioned that the danger also lies in more subtle forms. These include efforts to influence laws, policies, and social norms in ways that gradually erode secular governance and democratic institutions. Gabbard pointed to lobbying, legal challenges, and grassroots campaigns as examples of how Islamist ideology can work incrementally to reshape societies from within. She warned that the threat is not only external, coming from foreign terrorist organizations, but also internal, through ideological subversion and the slow normalization of anti-democratic ideas within communities and institutions. Gabbard was careful to clarify that her message was not an attack on Islam or Muslims, but a call to recognize the political movement of Islamist ideology as a direct challenge to Western freedoms. She stressed that this is a matter of protecting civil liberties, not engaging in religious discrimination. She called for vigilance on multiple fronts, against both the obvious threat of violence and the more insidious spread of extremist ideas that can undermine the very fabric of democratic society. By framing the issue in terms of national security rather than religious conflict, Gabbard sought to unite Americans around the defense of shared values and constitutional rights. Ultimately, she urged Americans to recognize Islamist ideology as a direct competitor to the ideals of a free republic, and to stand firm in defending the principles that define and protect their way of life. Gabbard's core warning. Islamist ideology is an existential threat to Western liberty. She argued that American freedom, rooted in individual rights and self-determination, cannot coexist with a system that places all authority in religious law. In her view, this ideology undermines free expression, religious freedom, and equality under the law. Gabbard described these as fundamental assaults on the architecture of a free society. She called on Americans to recognize this as a battle of ideas, not just arms. Complacency, she warned, leaves the West vulnerable to ideological advance. Preserving freedom, she argued, requires intellectual and moral clarity, not just military strength. Her speech was a call to action. Defend the principles that define American liberty. The threat, she insisted, is real and demands urgent attention. To make her warning tangible, Gabbard cited the cancellation of Christmas markets in Germany due to security threats. These festive markets, once bustling with laughter, music, and the aroma of mulled wine, have become somber reminders of a changing Europe. The absence of joyful crowds and the shuttered stalls speak volumes about the impact of fear on cherished traditions. These markets, symbols of community and tradition, have become targets for Islamist-inspired violence. For generations, families gathered here to celebrate the season, forging memories and strengthening bonds. Now, the threat of attacks has cast a shadow over these beloved events, forcing communities to reconsider how they come together. The 2016 Berlin attack, where a truck plowed into a Christmas market, remains a chilling example. The tragedy left 12 dead and dozens injured, shattering the sense of safety that once defined these gatherings. The images of chaos and grief linger in the collective memory, a stark reminder of the vulnerability of public celebrations. Since then, heightened security and cancellations have become common across Europe. Armed patrols, concrete barriers, and bag checks are now routine, transforming once inviting spaces into fortified zones. The festive spirit is often overshadowed by the visible presence of law enforcement and the constant awareness of potential danger. Gabbard argued that such measures represent more than safety. They're a retreat of cultural expression in the face of fear. The empty squares and closed stalls are not just a response to threats, but a symbol of how fear can erode the very fabric of society. The loss is not only economic, but deeply cultural and emotional. The choice, she said, is stark: live freely with risk or sacrifice tradition for security. This dilemma forces societies to weigh the value of their customs against the imperative to protect lives. It's a debate that touches every citizen, challenging them to consider what they are willing to give up in the name of safety. Canceling public celebrations, in her view, is a victory for those seeking to diminish Western culture. Each cancellation, each empty market, is a small surrender, a concession to those who wish to instill fear and division. The silence of these markets echoes far beyond the holiday season, raising questions about resilience and identity. Gabbard's example brought the ideological conflict into the everyday lives of her audience. By highlighting the tangible effects of terrorism on familiar traditions, she made the stakes clear. This is not just a political issue but a personal one that affects families, communities, and the future of cultural life in Europe. She warned that surrendering public spaces to fear sets a dangerous precedent. If societies allow fear to dictate their actions, the loss extends beyond temporary closures. It threatens the openness and vibrancy that define free societies. The challenge sigurgiksib osensiwan in sauber on kobid sauber pan compirgi wan Olderjur in Sobri is to find the courage to protect both safety and the traditions that give life meaning. Gabbard's reference to Germany fits a broader European trend: increased security in response to Islamist terrorism. Armed patrols, surveillance, and public warnings have become routine in many cities. These measures, meant to reassure, also remind citizens of constant threat. Europe's experience shows how fear can gradually erode public freedom and spontaneity. Despite efforts like intelligence sharing and community outreach, the ideological challenge persists. Gabbard suggested America should learn from Europe's struggle, not repeat it. Without confronting the root ideology, she warned, the US risks following the same path. The lessened security measures alone can't preserve a free society. Gabbard's choice of a partisan stage was a dramatic break from tradition for a director of national intelligence. The DNI is expected to remain above politics, providing objective analysis to leaders of any party. Gabbard's appearance at AmericaFest risked the perception of aligning intelligence with a political agenda. Critics argue this undermines the office's credibility. Supporters say it's necessary in times of ideological crisis. Her move blurred the line between intelligence and advocacy. The question: should the DNI speak out publicly on contentious issues, or remain a neutral broker? Gabbard's decision has sparked a debate about the evolving role of intelligence in public life. After Gabbard's speech, a key question emerged. Was this an official intelligence assessment or her personal conviction? If official, it signals a major shift in US security policy. If personal, it's a powerful political statement from a high office. The office of the DNI offered no immediate clarification, fueling speculation. Traditionally, intelligence assessments are consensus-driven and carefully vetted, not delivered at political rallies. Many believe Gabbard's remarks blended her access to intelligence with her own strong beliefs. This ambiguity leaves allies and adversaries unsure how to interpret her words. The line between official analysis and personal advocacy has rarely been so blurred. The uncertainty has made her speech a focal point for national debate. Gabbard's AmericaFest speech was more than a warning, it was a challenge to the nation. By naming Islamist ideology as a threat, she forced a public reckoning with uncomfortable questions about freedom and security. Her example of cancelled Christmas markets made the stakes personal and immediate. The controversy over her venue and message has sparked debate about the proper role of intelligence leaders. Gabbard's core message, defending liberty, requires both vigilance and courage. As America weighs her warning, the balance between safety and freedom remains at the heart of the national conversation. The questions she raised will shape public debate for years to come.